Welcome to the Georgia Show. We're brought to you by the Georgia Record, georgiarecord.com. I'm here with my trusty sidekick, Bill Quinn, who's been putting all the stuff together overnight, all night long, slaving away. Got a great show ready for you today. The Georgia Show, we're going to have a little fun, but you're going to be informed. I mean, this is the place where you come. You know, who is it? John Wayne said life's tough, but it's tough if you're stupid. You won't be stupid watching this show. You'll be real smart as to what's happening in Georgia, nationally, and even internationally. We're going to go all around the world today. And before we do that, I want you to sign up for our social media, CDM1, our Rumble channel. Our X channel is growing nicely. We're streaming on X. We're doing a lot of things. We have a very good relationship with them, and that's growing. And so please help us grow that channel for the Georgia Record. And please sign up for our no ad subscriptions. This is important because it gives you access to all of the CDM network with no advertisements. People love that. They're growing nicely, and I really appreciate the audience and the support. And I hope you're enjoying it, because I know I like to go to a site and see nothing but news or videos and not have to scroll around the ads and find out where the good stuff is. So people love that. So please support us that way if you can. It's $10 a month or $100 a year. We got a packed show. We're going to jump right into it. And Bill, what do we got?
Well, let's see. We're going to talk about an event that happened yesterday with the Georgia Freedom Caucus. We'll get caught up on that. We're going to talk about the strange judicial tyranny, I'm going to call it, with judges trying to stand in the way of Trump's progress. And that also means they're trying to stand in the way of the progress that Americans seem to really like and want.
Yes.
We're going to talk about bear with me for a second here. We're going to talk about the results going on in other parts of the country regarding this pesticide bill stuff. And we'll have a discussion about South Africa. Many people don't have this on their radar, but there is devastating risk being impressed on white people this time in South Africa, and we need to understand it. It flies in direct opposition to what we are used to hearing, but it sounds so similar, and in some ways sounds a lot like things that are going on here in the U.S. And then finally, we're going to talk about some of the strange stuff going on as we come up to the GOP conventions, many of which are going to happen this weekend, and some very odd stuff, especially around Cobb County. So we will we'll cover that later in the show. But if you're ready, let's start talking about the Georgia Freedom Caucus and the event they had yesterday. All right. So yesterday I was lucky enough to join with about 100 or 120 others and see many of the folks that had gathered with the Georgia Freedom Caucus to hear Mark Meadows and Ralph Norman, congressman from South Carolina, speak. Notably, the guests of honor, if you will, the folks in the Georgia Freedom Caucus stopped in. Charlie Spurd, Noel Cahalan were there for a few minutes, but they had to get back, and Colton was already at the Capitol because they didn't want to miss any votes. So to the point, making sure they're getting the job done rather than taking a fancy lunch. And it was a fancy lunch. It was very interesting, very nice place at the Capitol City Club. As I said, quite a number of folks there, many that folks would recognize: Garland Favorito and Tamara Favorito. You can see David Cross sitting there, Ron Hooper next to him, and many others that are well known in Georgia politics, and especially around Atlanta. Mallory Staples was the master of ceremonies, if you will, or mistress of ceremonies, perhaps. I'm not sure how you'd say that. Did a wonderful job. And as I said, we heard Mark Meadows and Ralph Norman speak. What was very interesting was how candid they were regarding the status of true conservatism as it relates to party affiliation. And I won't quote either directly, but you could tell that they see the same things we do. And just like we saw with the vote last week, voting for this, stinking pesticide bill, and almost every one of the Republicans voting for it, with the exception of the Georgia Freedom Caucus members, they echoed that essentially. They said a lot of the problem that we see across the country, whether it be at the federal level or be at state level, seems to be coming very frankly from the R side of the equation, the Republican side of the equation.
Yeah.
That's truly a shame. But it also means that either folks are being driven by motivations that do not align with their party affiliation, or in fact, they're pretending to be a Republican when they're really not. So
The uniparty is a thing,
it
definitely.
really is a thing. It really is a thing. So we had a couple of good laughs with some good stories about their time both getting into politics and serving, and a couple of very interesting stories about being with President Trump. So a very nice event. My understanding is they're going to hold another one of these in 3 or 4 months, and would very much suggest that people, if they can, plan to attend the next one. They were it was well worth it. Great venue, great people, great discussions, and fun time to meet some interesting folks.
Very cool. What else? Do you want to say anything more about that, or?
No, that's it on the Freedom Caucus event. Just wanted to make sure people knew about it and encourage them to go and support the next time one comes to town. If we can, I want to spend. Let's see. Let's go back, and I have one heck of a lot of slides this time, so bear with me. One of the things that's gone on in the last few days is we have seen the emergence of a pushback on Trump and Trump's actions, and it's coming largely from the judiciary. You'll remember that Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act. This is a law that goes back to, I believe it's the late 1800s, perhaps, and really is using this to target the Trinidad folks that are in the country, as they are probably some of the most dangerous gang members that have slipped in or come in. Unfortunately, some judges, especially one particular one, have taken it upon themselves to attempt to stand in the way of the executive orders that would lead us to the use of of this act. And folks are calling it out. Let me go here
And
to
just while you're getting that, people need to realize these are district judges that are congressionally mandated. And it's my understanding they're not constitutionally mandated. They're activated by Congress in small districts, which are literally running the foreign policy and the executive power of the United States. I mean,
that's
it's
right. They in large part are not going to be elected officials either. They're going to be appointed. And some of these folks, the one we're going to talk about, was appointed under Obama's regime, if you will. So Anna Paulina Luna began calling out, hey, we cannot have judges countermanding the work and the executive orders of the executive branch. The president is supposed to be able to make the choices that he needs to make. And very frankly, people have been supportive. He has a mandate to do what he said he was going to do when he was running his campaign. One of those was to, deport especially folks that are potentially criminals and have even committed crimes within the U.S., and do it expeditiously. Well, he reads this or posts this, and himself is going out and saying and reminding folks, I have a mandate. These people didn't win the popular vote. They didn't win 7 swing states. They didn't win 2,750 counties across the U.S. So they're not in line. They should not be allowed to stand in the face of this, stand in the way of this. And people are in fact weighing in. And
it's arbitrary, Bill. They're not saying the law is unconstitutional. They're just saying we don't like what you're doing with it. So
yeah,
it's
basically
executive power, which he has the constitutional right to wield.
That's right. So one of these, and I believe his name is pronounced Boasberg, I think. Judge Boasberg is one of the ones that, for example, is trying to prevent him from being able to deport the folks in Trinidad and others, and in fact tried to stand in front of even the planes, in some cases in flight, trying to prevent them from going where they're supposed to go. Well, we get about 24 hours into this, and Laura Loomer, to her credit, begins to look at the folks surrounding this judge, and she finds some very interesting connections. So here she says Boasberg blocked the deportation of Trendy Rugby gang members without disclosing the fact that his daughter works for, guess what, an NGO, a 501c3 called Partners for Justice, that gives criminal illegal aliens, and gang members legal advice.
And it's very
Oops.
similar to that NGO that was down at Hartsfield, getting the migrants through the airport.
Team Libertad. That's right. That's right. So they're guiding these folks. They know exactly who they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And here's his daughter, dealing with one of these NGOs. One of the things that Laura points out is once this was found, his daughter very quickly tried to erase her digital footprint so people couldn't find out more about her. And she said she'd taken down her LinkedIn page. I actually went to check it, and sure enough, when you look up her name, you find it in the list. When you click on her name to look at her profile, this is what you get. That page doesn't exist anymore. So they are hiding. And remember, we've talked about this in the past. When the lights go on in the kitchen, the roaches run. And that's what seems to be happening here. Here is his daughter, Catherine, spelled a different way, Boasberg. And there's the organization that she is purported to be part of, Partners for Justice. Sounds great. They always have really nice names for these.
They
don't
do, don't they? And isn't this the same judge that was ruling on the FISA warrants against Trump?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up. I'm going to get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
He's been involved in quite a number of things.
Mm-hmm.
Then we find out that his wife is involved in other things, including an abortion clinic, and maybe involved in her own NGO. And here's some examples of other previous cases that this judge has been involved with. Things involving bin Laden, things involving Hillary Clinton. It's just, gosh, now that we see it.
They all have NGOs, Bill.
Well, I guess they do.
Everybody gets an NGO.
Well, we said in a previous show, there's 1.5 million NGOs set up within the U.S. They may not all have one, but maybe one per family. I don't know.
I mean, can't you see it? Can't you see it when they're laundering the money through Ukraine? They say, okay, who do we need to pay off this week? Okay, some to the judge Boasberg's daughter, some, just spread the money around wherever it needs to go.
Yeah, kind of. It does look like that. And then magically they get assigned, apparently, to the key cases where they need a verdict. Now, step back for just a minute. Take a step out of this thing with Boasberg and think about what we've seen happen here in Georgia. We early on, just a few months after the 2020 elections, Voter GA, along with the help of David Cross and others, was making progress trying to get the Fulton County ballots unsealed and be able to examine them to see what really happened. Very frankly, that's exactly in line with what the CEO of Dominion has recommended on video. Hey, the paper ballots are essentially the cross-check of any election. They're the part that can't be hacked, were his exact words. And yet we get through, they even called in a special judge from out of Fulton County. They get within what looks like days of getting an order to unseal the ballots. And then all of a sudden, magically, after already being through part of the trial, oops, gosh, you don't have standing.
Yeah.
Well, standing is determined at the beginning of the trial, not in the middle. So again, you have these cases where things appear to be moving along the way they should, and yet, something happens that derails it, and it's often, unfortunately, in the middle of some judiciary process. Pam Bondi is even weighing in, saying they really don't have the right to stand in the way of these things. Now, does that mean that this all magically goes away? Maybe, maybe not. The process for judges when they appear to be doing the wrong things for the wrong reasons is impeachment. and it takes a pretty good wallop to get an impeachment of a judge. But if necessary, I think the pressure will bear on making sure that this happens. So, we'll see. There has to be something that begins to make sure that nobody can step in the way of these things. This is what's got Americans so excited. All the Doge stuff, all the discovery, all the disclosure needs to happen. They're commitments that Trump made, and I'm quite certain he will see them through. He just might have another, like what else is new? He might have a little fight in his hands before we get it all done. And moving on to a slightly different case, if you remember, Judge Merchan, who was over Trump's New York case, and seemed to be acting in ways that were negative toward Trump. Now we find out that his daughter was making money on certain things during the case, and as a result, perhaps, of some of the parts of the case. And so now Kash Patel is stepping in, saying it's about time we investigate. Ms. Marchand as well. Let me see if I think I might have the video downloaded on this. Bear with me for just a moment. Yes, we do. Hang on just a sec.
He would say that.
It's shockingly unconstitutional, Trace. It's great to be with you, and I'm here to announce on your show a measure that I'm working with Congress that should be Congress's bread and butter. And I'm calling for the subpoenas to be issued to Judge Merchan's daughter's company, who made $15+ million from the illicit information pouring out of her father's courtroom. I want to know the bank records, because money doesn't lie. Yep. I want to know how deep it is and how much of it went to the family and how much of it is going to the family after this false conviction. And then we need to investigate the FEC actual violations that this judge and his family conducted, because he should never have been overseeing this trial to begin with, because of the illicit campaign money that was flowing through there, and the unconstitutional due process violations are only the beginning. So America is calling for accountability of our judicial system, and Congress is the only lever that has it, and I'm hoping for one or two brave members of Congress that I'm talking to issue those subpoenas ASAP.
Well, let's see if they do.
Well, Bill, that's an interesting point, because he's talking about money doesn't lie, but as far as the gulf of no one's been arrested yet, we don't have any movement on election fraud and the massive money laundering, not even a discussion in the public eye. Maybe they're investigating, but if money doesn't lie, then let's track down all this money laundering that went into Brian Kemp's campaign. So I'm waiting for that. Back to you.
That's right. Maybe in the midst of that, we'll find the 12,000 surprisingly missing contribution transactions.
Exactly.
Never can tell.
Never can tell.
All right. Did we want to take a break here? And then
okay. We have a new sponsor. It's Alp, which is Tucker's company. And if you like Zen, if you like the nicotine pouches, this is a better product. It's more moist, better experience, tastes better. And I think and there's more in the can than with Zen. So if you're a Zen user, don't use the woke companies. Go to Alp. I'm going to play a quick ad for Tucker. Oh, that's the wrong one.
Supposed to go back. Why didn't they win? They should have won. They're so perfect. She's so smart. She knows everything. Oh, Tim was so. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Babe, are you on your Zins again?
Yeah, this is all I have left.
Oh, well, thank God your house finally came in.
Fight. Too big to read. Too big to read.
He's not him without his house.
Anyway, that's another Tucker ad. So
interesting.
It's your nun walk. I think that came from a client submission to Tucker, but he put it out. So I thought it was cute. So back to you.
We had to make our own and submit it, huh?
Exactly. We should do. Maybe we can do one on the show. Got your out, Bill.
So I hadn't planned on using this, but since you brought it up, there you go. Ukrainian officials released the kickback numbers they gave. I haven't seen this confirmed elsewhere, but this appears to be from Mr. DeSantis, and who knows? Maybe these are close. We don't know.
I'm not sure that's real, but okay.
We'll see. We'll see. It would explain a lot, wouldn't it?
It would.
Okay. Why don't we, so I'm going to let you tee this one up because this is your area of expertise. You were lucky enough to get, to get a discussion with a gentleman who's a farmer from South Africa. So let me turn that over to you. I think people would be very interested to hear this.
So we've been on this story for a while, and we're going to stay on it. South Africa is in trouble. The white farmers there are being persecuted to death, literally. If you look on the internet, there's thousands of photos of miles of white crosses of dead farmers, and these are families been tortured, had their land stolen, killed, murdered, and we're going to support them. So first, I want to play a quick video. These are South African Afrikaner girls praying for security and peace for their people. So we had a chance to talk with Mr. Tui Wessels. He is a farmer and is one of the Afrikaner Boer separatist movement leaders and very well known in South Africa. And we've built quite a following there for CDM, but also a group of patriots that are simply trying to save their livelihoods and avoid the racism and persecution from the South African Marxist government. So we're going to play a good portion of this interview. I think you'll really like it. He's a good guy. And by the way, if we get to a commercial in it, I'll just skip over it. But here we go. I got to find the, hold on one second. Okay, here we go. My friend, are you there?
Hello, Todd. I'm here. I do apologize for being late. I think it was a huge misunderstanding, but I'm here
Oh boy.
now.
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit, but Tui,
Hello, can you?
yes, I can hear you. Yes. Deeply rooted in the land your ancestors worked. You're a patriot, devout Christian, and you refuse to stay silent in the face of oppression, according to the people who said I should interview you. So can you just give us an overview of what you're facing in South Africa, and we'll go from there?
Yeah, we're really having a difficult time in South Africa. Everything is currently set up against us. If it's in business, in your personal life, with the police, with everything is currently against us, especially against farmers. I think it's a worldwide occurrence lately that farmers and food production are under attack. I think in Europe, especially, that is the truth. But in South Africa, they are targeting us especially. I think, they will control the masses even better if they can control food production. In South Africa, that is no exception. Sorry.
So it's very similar that you've been persecuted in South Africa by the government, but we had the very similar situation in the U.S. Do you see any comparisons to what happened here to what's happening to you? Because our colleague Brindy Wells said that they tested a lot of these methods in South Africa and then brought them to the U.S. What do you think of that?
Oh, yes, that's for sure. You guys, or we see what happened to Donald Trump after his last term ended. They prosecuted him relentlessly. And I think at this moment, the state is using all its resources to try and stop dissidents. people that have a voice that are speaking out against the injustices that is taking place. So yes, the state and the liberals worldwide, because in South Africa, a lot of people will say, yes, it's the ANC, and that is true. But we also have liberals. Woke liberals are one of our biggest problems, I have to tell you. You will just have to look at what's happening in our media, and you will hear numerous voices of people that are saying, there's nothing wrong in South Africa. What are you guys crying about? South Africa is a great place. And this is a typical liberal that is still staying in a good neighborhood, that is totally disconnected from the average South African's sorrows and plight. And that's the thing. And I think it's the same in America. They're so disconnected from reality. And so you have these voices that are saying, no, we don't want help from President Trump. We are fine on our own. There's nothing wrong in South Africa. It's all fake news. So yeah, I think that's happening worldwide.
So there's been a very high murder rate against South African farmers, and you're right, because in the U.S., especially in California, they have, the rich liberals have security. They can provide and protect their families where the average man on the street can't. And you're saying that's similar in South Africa, but what has the government done or not done to help the white farmers protect themselves from, invaders that literally murder and torture and kill?
Yeah, and I think they are actually helping the criminals. They're making it more easy for them. For instance, let's say a criminal attacks me tonight and I shoot him. They will arrest me. They will prosecute me. And that has happened. That has happened before. Where people were prosecuted criminally and they had to serve jail time whenever they shot and killed an attacker, or even shot an attacker, and the attacker walked totally free. There's this specific case that I'm very involved with. It's this two farm girls, poor girls, really tough girls, I have to tell you. They farm all on their own. They have quite a big farm, and their sheep is being stolen relentlessly, where they literally lose about 100 a month. And this time they became aware that there's criminals busy loading their sheep. So they caught the criminals. They arrested the criminals together with one other male farmer that arrived and to help. They took the criminals to the police station. First, they called the police station. The police didn't answer. Eventually, they answered, but they never arrived to come and collect the criminals. So the ladies took the criminals to the police station. They, upon arriving at the police station, the police immediately released the criminals and started accusing them of assaulting these criminals. The next day, the Hawks, a special unit in South Africa, comparable to the FBI, raided the girls' home, arrested them, kicked their door in. It was about 50 Hawks. So yeah, it's a real bad situation. I think this is the classic situation. And now they're facing charges like attempted murder, assault. Yeah, a lot of things. So yeah, it's really difficult for us, because I think the government's actually aiding and making it more difficult for us.
What about to President Trump? He's made a very vocal plea to the government to stop this repression. He's kicked out the ambassador. He's stopped events in South Africa with American officials, and really highlighted your whole plight and offered refugee status. What is the sentiment on the ground with the South African white farmer on Trump's efforts so far?
So there's, I have to tell you, it's mixed emotions. We all have mixed emotions about it, because although we're really thankful, I have to tell you, it's still my home, and I feel I need still to continue the fight till the end. But there's a lot of us that are currently in a really bad situation financially. You're either an inch away from living on the streets, or in a homeless shelter, or in a white squatter camp. So for that people, it is a great opportunity. I have to be honest about it, because we can't save them, we can't carry them. It's nearly impossible to get a job in South Africa if you're white, especially if you're white. I mean, the economic is really doing bad, and white people, they just aren't jobs for you. So yeah, because of that, it's mixed emotions. I have to tell you, we're really thankful because I think there's a lot of people that could be saved. And the latest number is there's about 70,000 people already that applied for asylum or refugee status. I'm not sure the exact, I think the terminology still need to be set out. And there's about 170,000 people I've heard that is interested on top of the 70,000. So I have to tell you, it's mixed emotions. It's about, so we could say it's easily about 10% of the population, white population in South Africa, that is going to make use of this opportunity. But I have to tell you, it is the right-minded, the conservative type of person that's going to make use of this opportunity. So you guys probably will receive a very well-rounded, God-fearing individual. And us that's staying behind, maybe in the future, I don't know what's going to happen in South Africa, but we that's staying behind, yeah, I think the liberals will soon find out things are going to get a whole lot tougher on them as the focus is starting to shifting towards their side.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Sure. So here in the U.S., one of the things that we continue to hear is, at least stand up, say, call out the guys who are doing things badly, the bad actors. You are doing that now. Are you at risk by doing this, do you think? And how do you try to protect yourself? We've talked to others too that are trying to get the word out, and we need to understand the seat that you're sitting in at the moment. Is this literally a risk to you to speak up?
Thanks for the question, Bill. It's a great question. Yes, for sure. I have to tell you, nowadays I do carry my firearm everywhere I go. If you go out at night, I will maybe even carry something else with me just in case. So it is definitely dangerous. And there's also a lot of speculation, especially on social media. A lot of bad actors or militant blacks would make comments such as your family need to be killed, your wife need to be raped, or we're going to kill you. And since I'm a public figure, and a lot of people know where I live, it is obviously a risk. But there's also a real risk for your fellow white people that is more liberal minded or just liberals. They will also attack you. They will make very bad remarks behind your back. I guess it's the same in America with the Democrats about what they are saying about President Trump. Every one of us can clearly see that what he's doing currently is working, and what he's doing is for the best for the American people. But yeah, they are saying it is terrible what he's doing. He's committing atrocious crimes and so forth. So it's a lot of, so I have two fears. But I think another real possibility besides crime is that the state is going to use the police, as they already did against me. I mean, I have a case that is ongoing. The trial starts 17th of June. So I was arrested, me and a fellow activist, and in which we stood up against what's happening in South Africa. And it's a totally political loaded charges, because the police minister himself gave the order 2 weeks after the incidents took place to arrest us as well, even though me and the other three guys weren't involved in any way. We were just there to support our friend. He was arrested on the day. So yeah, it's definitely dangerous, I have to tell you. First one, I have to tell you, and Elon Musk is the first really relevant, important people that is speaking out. So we're really thankful about that.
What is it that America could do and the West could do for you that would be most impactful right now to help your plight, and not just bringing people out, but to maintain your population and your community in South Africa?
Because so South Africa have a important, our location is quite important. In the old days, before the strait in Egypt, all the ships worldwide need to pass South Africa, need to go past South Africa. It's the most southern point that there is. besides Argentina, but they need to pass South Africa or the Western Cape. So South Africa is very important in that way. Also, I think in Africa, because of how important we are a very important player. We are the biggest economy, even though it's really declining very fast. We were before 1994, even till the early 2000s, first first world country. Now we are third world country. But I think we can actually offer something as well. It's not just what America can offer us. I want to make that clear, because a lot of people are always saying America needs to do something for us. But I think we want to help ourselves as well. And one thing I need to emphasize is that we need to be self-sufficient. We need to govern ourselves with people that have the same values as us. And our constitution actually makes provision for this to happen. That, like Orania, that there is a part of South Africa that can be self-governed by a group of people, a homogeneous society, as to say. And that could be culturally, that could be racially, that could be in any way that's made for provision. So I think if America can, maybe the best thing that they can do for us at this moment is to help those of us that are currently pushing this idea that we want to some sort of autonomy, and they can maybe pressure South Africa and also make this worldwide known, because it is possible. It is really possible according to our constitution. And I believe that will really aid us a lot. And the main thing, they don't want to let us go. It's kind of like the Israelites in Egypt. The Pharaoh didn't want them there, but he didn't want them gone. And it's kind of the same that's happening with us now. They don't want us gone. And we have even said that, and that's quite a big percentage of the population. That's it. We will take the worst part of South Africa. That's in the Kalahari, that's in the Karoo, that's a very dry part. It receives about 200 millimeters of rain a year. We will take a little part of that, and they decline that as well. And I will tell you now, Orania has built it itself out to be something special. The property prices there is booming. It's really a very vibrant community, and it is in one of the driest and worst farming parts in South Africa. I truly believe we will be able to soon turn this homeland of ours, if it happens, into a vibrant economy that could actually aid and help the world.
Bill, you got any other questions?
Well, in that, in that realm, when you think about changing the character of parts of the country, that would seem to include that you need to have access to the right technologies to make that happen, right? So is the government also kind of standing in the way of either the introduction or use of some of that to prevent you from being able to make that progress?
Yeah, Starlink is a good example of this, because I have very weak reception on my farm, and that's one of the reasons why I joined late. Besides the point, I joined late because I thought it's past five in South Africa. It was 4:15. I'm sorry about that, but I still joined late because my reception is so weak. I'm currently sitting on an hill between my cattle. I will probably show them to you just to get reception. That's how bad it is. And I have a very weak satellite internet at home, but it is poor quality. It's quite old. And if I maybe could use Starlink, for instance, there's certain parts of South Africa that could really be well connected for good money. And now it's impossible because of the government. And I believe that is also happening with a lot of other technologies, especially in farming, in agriculture, because it's so expensive to get that technologies into South Africa because of the weakness of the rand. Or, for instance, trying to export your things or import something. It's near impossible. The harbors in South Africa is in a terrible condition. You wait months to get your stuff in, or your produce in, or let it out. So yeah, it's really difficult.
So, well, you have a very powerful friend in the White House that's South African, if you didn't didn't know that, but so maybe Elon can help you out. But so let's talk more about your homeland and there's a lot of misconceptions on apartheid and the homeland system in South Africa. Can you give us kind of an overview of what people get wrong when it comes to that, and what you really want as a Boer community, and how you want to be, protected and just be left alone and build your own community?
So I think the first thing that people need to know is not all black people were against the homeland system. Actually, Bophuthatswana, which I think is 4 million hectares big, it's quite a big. It was a big homeland of the Tswana people. They had autonomy from the South African government, so they were handling their own affairs. They were against ending of the homeland system. They had a population about 1.5 million. 1.5 or 2.5 million in 1994. I'm under correction. They were all against it, and the population of South Africa were plus minus 20 million in 1994. So, and the Zulu nation were also against it, and they were about 4.5 million. In KwaZulu was the biggest homeland in South Africa, and they were also against it. They want to be self-governed, and the thing is, today the Zulu nation is actually calling to be self-governed again. There's a lot of actors within the Zulu nation. Even the king himself, the other day, mentioned it, that they want self-rule away from the ANC. They're angry with the ANC. And so the thing we need to understand, that's about 5 million black people that lived in that two homelands, out of population of 15 plus million black people that wanted the homeland system to continue. So we need to understand not all black people were against the homeland system, and I think that's a very that is something that people misunderstood. Apartheid is painted as a very bad situation, that everybody was against the homeland system. There were mistakes made. I have to be honest about that, but we can learn about that. The whole system wasn't bad. There were some things within apartheid that really worked well, and one thing was there was before the white people arrived in South Africa, Mefakane happened. That 2.5 million Sotho people and Siberian Swana people were killed by the Zulu nation. It was a genocide. So when the Boers arrived here in the Free State where I live, it was desolate, lying desolate. Only a few people remained, and a lot of the Sotho people fled to the mountains. And there's till this day, I have Sotho people mostly that I associate with or that are working on the farms or for me, and they will always tell you they don't like Zulus. So the homeland system were a necessity to try and separate the different nations and tell them you can self-govern yourself, you can do whatever you like, you can protect your culture. So that is very misconception, I believe, that people have. It was not to try and separate people intentionally. It was to try and make peace in South Africa, try and maintain peace. And it was peaceful. If it wasn't for the ANC that committed terrorist activities and certain players within the international community actually aiding them, that it would have been peaceful. So yeah, that's my thought.
Well, Tui, thank you for coming on. We don't have but a few minutes left, but tell us where people can follow you. How can they stay in touch with what you're doing in South Africa?
So I do have a TikTok account. I also have an account on Facebook. So it's probably, I have an account on X, even though I am quite new to it, I have to tell you, but I do enjoy X. The free speech is something else. I have to tell you, things have changed also for Facebook. Nowadays, I see people can say on Facebook that you can speak your mind. So President Trump really made a difference in this world. So please follow me on Facebook or on X or on TikTok.
Tui, thanks. I want to have you back down the road. Yeah, let's see your cows, man.
Yeah, they actually walked away a bit now, but you can see it's beautiful. It was really a bad thunderstorm just now. You can still see the water laying in the grass.
Yes, fascinating.
But it's
my
very
friend.
beautiful. I really love this place. I have to tell you, it's my heart are here. I'm a patriot, so it's really I'm really saddened by the things that are happening, and by the way it's taking place.
Well, we will ask our American Christian friends to pray for you, and hopefully we can have healing for all the peoples that are fighting this repression. But thank you for your time. We'll have you back. Take care, my friend. Be
Thank you
safe.
very much. God
Okay.
bless. Thank you. Bye.
So back with you, Bill. Thank you for that.
That was a fascinating interview. There were a couple things that stood out. One was the cow must have been right at the window.
Yeah.
So when you heard the, it was, wow, hey, we got somebody that's trying to break in and do a photo bomb here.
Exactly.
The other was when I heard him this time, I noticed that he said, "I carry a gun whenever I go out, and at night I may carry something else." And I thought, holy mackerel, what does he mean?
That would be the
Something
minigun.
shoulder mounted? What are we
That would be
talking
the minigun, Schwarzenegger style, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a fascinating interview. I don't mean to make light of it. What's going on there?
It's a painful situation. Obviously, the black population went through pain, at least certain parts of it, and that doesn't excuse racism and repression and murder against whites in South Africa. So I think Trump is right to raise this issue. Racism and persecution is bad even wherever it is. So
It was interesting what he was describing in terms of who is going to be prosecuted and who would be released sounded to me, without the racism portion of it necessarily, sounded so much like what's going on in the big cities. The real criminals walk free, and the innocents seem to get all the heat.
That's a really good point, because they tested, and we're going to have Brindy Wells on at some point. She's South African, and she's building our network there. But her point is they tested all of the stuff they're doing in the U.S. now in South Africa. This all was like, basically trial and error to see what worked, what didn't, and then they brought it to the U.S. and to the West. So this is a big story, and it ties into everything you've been talking about on the pesticide issues, the bird flu. It's all of a piece, and we're going to dig down into it. I want to take a quick break. This is John B. Wells, Brindy's husband, where we have a joint product, Nucleo Boost.
Watching my friends gain more and more weight, and then eventually, I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition. And sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this, you take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back. Cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
I'm David Cross, and you may know me from my election integrity work, but I also own U.S. Asset Management, a family-owned and operated investment advisory practice. I'm a certified portfolio manager, and my job is to help you make better decisions with your money. One of the things we try to avoid is investing in companies that push the woke agenda. If you're invested with one of the big firms out there, there's a pretty good chance that you're feeding the beast that hates your values. Our company is 100% conservative, and we'd love to have an opportunity to work with you. Check us out at us-am.com and look for our big, proud American Eagle logo.
So we are in the factory in Kentucky. This is Alp World HQ, and we are at the end of the packing line. So I'm going to show you how it works. We have the card, throw it in there. There's a packing slip, and then you have the Alp. And 4, but that seems honestly like a lot. 3 now, but it's good. These pack a punch that, you know, for a normal nicotine brand, it'd be like 8. You know, we think 3 is fine. Next one. Again, 4. I'm gonna throw 3 in just to keep it fair. Okay. There you go. So you can see you can get fast at this, and really it's just a matter of repetition. This is kind of the assembly line that you know, Henry Ford devised so long ago.
Tucker's stealing all the Alp again.
I did that for you, Phil.
That was very kind. Thank you for that. I should admit that I do not use any of those things, but who knows? Maybe I'll try just because of Tucker. So
Well,
we have.
Well, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
We have a few minutes left. I wanted to directly address something that's going on right now here in the Atlanta area, and try to bring some sense to what I think in some people's view is a bit of maybe more than a bit of chaos at the moment. It revolves around the upcoming election that will occur this Saturday in Cobb County. Now, there's a number of counties that will be holding their GOP elections. It just seems that this one has got a lot of drama wrapped around it. And we had Sophia Farouk on the other evening. You got a chance to hear from her directly. If you haven't yet seen that, I would recommend you go to rumble.com/CDM1, and you can see the clip of our interview with Sophia. And yet what's going on reminded me of a movie, as many things do. And the movie is The American President. It stars Michael Douglas and Annette Bening. And the basis of the story is a president who's become a widower and who meets a lady and begins to date her. And others seize on this as an opportunity to try to call his ethics and background into question. And at some points, they try to do the same thing to her. The example that I thought of first was when they find a picture from with her some years before, and she happened to be at a protest, and they try to use that to break down her her ethical profile for the public. Later, one of the actors from the other party starts to make up things, literally create untrue, false accusations, and is very careful to say, oh, well, I can't prove this, but I'm hearing it here and I'm hearing it there. And, you hear it once. Many of those same things are playing out as we speak right now in Cobb County. And what strikes me is that this is not, very frankly, unlike what Trump himself faced over the last 7 years. Attacks from left, attacks from right, and yet he has stood through it all, and he has continued to be the man that he is. And we believe that you'll see the same thing from Sophia Farouk as she goes forward. One of the things that folks have called out is, oh, well, she may really have in the past been a supporter of the more liberal side of the equation. Well, many folks have forgotten that Trump has changed parties, I guess, maybe 5 times. He registered as a Republican in 1987. He was a member of the Independence Party. He was a member of the Reform Party in 99, a Democrat in 2001, a Republican in 2009, and represented himself as unaffiliated in 2011, and then went back to being a Republican in 2012. So you really can't hold someone's background against them. And very frankly, in most of the GOP organizations that I've been part of, we make a concerted effort to try to attract folks from other perspectives, I'll call it, the other side of the equation, and draw them into the Republican Party and our way of viewing things and more conservative view. We also note that some of the same players that we have reported in the past seem to be in the middle of this, stirring up bad feelings. And if you go back and listen to the interview with Sophia, her wish, very frankly, that she stated was to have the people of Cobb be able to be able to learn about the three viewpoints of the people running for chairman and make the choice that they're most comfortable, most happy with. Didn't take any time to break anybody else down, and to her credit, seems to be shying away from these negative attacks. The very fact that folks are going after her should tell you something. And we will hope, and very frankly pray, that Cobb County's delegates are smart enough. I've said it, gosh, probably 50 or 100 times on this show. I believe Georgians are smart. I believe we've gotten smarter over the last years as we've had to go through the crap that Biden and that administration have thrown down on us. And I think we know how to judge people and see who they really are. And if that plays out, if that is what is looked at by the Cobb folks, whether they're delegates or just residents of Cobb, I believe that they will make a great choice, and we hope that takes Sophia to the next level and allows her to actualize the vision and the plans that she talked to us about and that she's put up on her website and so forth. So we, as I said, we've reported about some of these folks in the past. So if you go back and you look at some of the reporting we did last year, you will find some of the names called out that you're seeing now post all this negative stuff. We ask that you think about that, you recognize it for what it is, and make a logical, a smart, and a heartfelt choice as you come into the convention on Saturday. So with that, back to you, Todd.
I think we're done. We'll see you Sunday at 2 p.m. Make sure you catch Output tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 10 to 12, Monday through Friday. It's going to be a great show tomorrow. We're going to talk financials and also human trafficking. So catch us tomorrow at 10, and there'll be more than that, but that's two of the main topics. Thanks, Bill.